I was just thinking of something, Mark, because I thought, God, I want to make sure I look good on these things.
You look
So
fine.
if I
What?
needed to put lipstick on
No,
or,
you look fine. We're
okay,
fine.
good.
I mean, I'm sure once we get going, we'll have the inevitable YouTube trolls come on and say, "Oh, your picture quality sucks," and "Oh, you
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
don't know what you're doing." We're gonna have
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
And we might have a few saying, "Geez, the guy with the headphones on is uglier than a bucket of you know what." So who
Yeah.
knows? It's the things you have to live with
Yeah.
when you go out to the public, when you go out to the YouTube world.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
Haters
Yeah.
got a hate. That's what they say.
Yeah.
And again, you know what? There's going to be like with Apple and Spotify and all of that. It's going to be basically just audio. I mean, we're not going to have the picture, so
Oh, yeah.
we
Okay.
don't we don't have. There's a lot of the podcast venues out there that just do the audio. They don't do the video,
Okay.
so
Sounds
Wow.
good.
they can hear
All
our
right. Good.
voices, but they can't see our lovely faces.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. All right. Well, so this first segment, we're going to talk about getting started,
Okay.
Okay.
how we got started, and maybe you know uh, other things we've heard. How people get started in the industry and what our thoughts are with getting started. Um, what's the right way? What's the wrong way? In our opinion. And opinions are like everybody's got one.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Opinions and $1 million are equally worth nothing unless they're yours.
That is very prophetic.
There's my thought of the day.
That is nice. I like
Is that
that.
an original Doug Mass quote?
That really is. Yeah. Yeah. I got a lot of time on my hands sometimes when I'm driving around. So,
Opinions and what was say that again to me? I have to remember that one.
an opinion and $1 million are equally worth nothing unless it's yours.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Yeah. So,
Well, I like it. It makes sense.
well, kind of. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
All
But
right. All right. Good. Well, so again, let's talk about each other's experience, how we got started, and what we thought we did right and what we thought we did wrong. So, again, ladies first.
So, how well we talked a little bit last time about how I used such a voice. Um, I think that was for me was a good way to go. I mean, it was somewhat economical as I remember. It was a number of years ago. Plus, I got all my equipment.
How many
Um,
how many years ago was that? When did you start
Jesus,
that?
I did it the same time as Doug, so I was thinking it was around 2008, 2009, but
actually, if you can
from
see my board in the back, 2010.
10. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's when we did that. Yeah.
Mhm.
I should see where mine is. I know I have it somewhere. Um, that's a good thing to put too there. So I think that not knowing anything about it, that was a good way to go. I know as we went on, kind of we talked about it, like the quality of because we got our demos and we went into a studio and stuff like that. So we were able to I was able to have Steve help me create a website and put those demos on. Um,
What got you first off, what got you thinking about doing the VO first? I mean, what all of a sudden said,
yeah, and
I
that
want to
was
try
so,
this
yeah. So because I was working,
on the
doing,
telephone thing. Yeah.
yeah, I was doing medical information for Pfizer at Denver Health. And I was, me and this other woman, of course, we were the two oldest ones there, and we were uh, one of Pfizer's drugs was Viagra. And so we were the Viagra people, me and her. And, we get these guys on the phone and they'd say, well, you have a really nice voice. And so I kept on hearing that. And then it was Arapahoe
That's a
Community
form of
College.
Viagra right there.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes, and I was so, I'd be trying to be professional, and these guys would get kind
I
of
had a million lines on that
raunchy,
one.
and everybody around me was laughing because they heard one half of the conversation, and they were laughing because, you're trying to just like, be kind of professional no matter what they're saying to you, even
Yes.
though it's probably an X-rated call. Anyway, so but then after, while I was doing that, I believe, and it was Arapahoe Community College actually had a class, and it was, and then they said that if people tell you you have a nice voice, you might consider voiceovers. I didn't really know anything about it until I took that class. So, and Arapahoe Community College was close to me, so can't remember if it was a 1 day class or whatever. And then I signed up, and Doug can remind me, but so I thought it was a good way to go for me, not knowing anything. I think as we've gotten into it, we've talked about other things that are kind of out there that but like I still use my Audio Technica mic. I think it's a really good mic. Of course, things have changed. I had a mic box then. I, s- I had to get a different one because mine broke.
And you got all of that stuff when you started that Such a Voice class, right?
Yeah, we got the microphone, the mic box, and I even think we got Pro Tools, didn't we, Doug? I'm almost positive we got Pro Tools too.
Yeah, we did. We did
Yeah.
get,
So,
yeah.
so that was a kind of a good thing. Of course, as it went on, we had to, like I said, I had to get a new mic box, and Pro Tools kind of changed a lot. And then we got our demos. We went down to a studio in Denver. I think it was on Colfax actually, where they gave us scripts and coached us through reading, and put music to our demos, and those demos are still on my website. So yeah, I think that was for me, that was a good way to go.
When you did the demos after you went to this Such a Voice class, and the Such a Voice, how many sessions was that? I mean, when you did the Such a Voice, I know got to go back into the memory cells here.
I know that's a lot. Because that's like what? That's 10, that's 13 years ago,
13
right?
years ago, yeah. So
Um,
was it a 1 day class, or was it
well,
multiple classes?
the class at ACC was, but we must have done more than one, because they kind of walked us through the script, and Doug, maybe you remember a little bit more than I do about that. Do you?
I know there was more than 1 week. Yeah, the ACC was a one evening class just to kind of introduce you to Such a Voice and
And then we
voiceover.
signed on, and then they had more classes, and can't remember
Right.
where they were, if they were at the studio or what, but and it was a woman that we
Right.
worked with.
Yeah. I was thinking there was a meeting room at one of the local hotels or something, wasn't it?
Oh, maybe, and that's where we went. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but so they gave us scripts, and we read them, and they coached us, and then at the end we went into the studio, and they did
That
all
was
the
in
recording
the studio on Colfax.
on Colfax. Yeah, and actually the young gentleman that was there, Mike, starts with a D, Warrington or something like that. He like set up my computer such that when I went into Pro Tools, because I found Pro Tools a little bit intimidating for me. Because it had all this stuff. And he went in there and he set it up on my computer that I could just click on this link, and it just popped up, everything I needed, to record. So I didn't have to start going through there every time I went and press buttons. He had the volumes the way it would be and everything like that.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, I mean, I think the mic was good. I think that was a good way to go. It's really interesting, as I remember, and I can't, and tell me if I'm wrong, Doug, but as I remember, I think I had a conversation with Doug, and he says, "Yeah, I'm getting all my equipment with this class." And I'm thinking, I don't remember them saying that to me. So I was able to get all my equipment too because of Doug. I said, "No, I get all my equipment with this. Like Doug told me we get all our equipment." So I thought that was kind of really interesting. And it was all through was it all through Sweetwater, I think? Yeah, and that was kind of nice because then I like Sweetwater. Those guys, especially with Pro Tools, which I bought from them. When I had any problems, I could talk to them and they would get on my computer with me and, adjust things. So I do like Sweetwater. I mean, um, they had a really good, what would you call it? It's not really customer service, technical support. They
Yeah.
provide, I thought, pretty good technical support when I would have problems, especially with Pro Tools, and it would be funny because I tried to, after they'd get on my computer and they'd be walking, well, they clip this button, that, and I try to follow them. But it was really interesting because every time I called them and had a problem, whoever I was talking to did it a different way for me to get in and start to record. So I never, it was a kind of an issue. I think Pro Tools is probably not the way to go for a new voiceover person. That would be one thing I would say.
And
Um,
we'll talk about the different software
Softwares,
DAW programs out there that are worth it and that are not worth it on another episode.
right. And then Steve, luckily he was pretty techie, so he created the website for me. And then I got cards and whenever I'd go out, my first job I was out with some friends, and friends of friends, and I gave them all my cards. And the one guy who was there happened to, one of his businesses was working with people and doing voiceovers. And that's how I got my first job, doing these educational learning things for this group in India. Don't know if I got paid. If I got paid, I got very little money from that. But
Were they
they
kind of like e-learning
yeah,
things, or
e-learning. So they'd just send you this stuff and then you'd record it, send it to them, and then they would put it onto their videos or whatever.
right?
And then I met, the way I got the job with CBS was, Steve and I did a commercial for colon cancer. And this guy, Mark Peterson, he was the one, and it was through one of the, I think, oncologists. And when I got into voiceovers, I reached out to Mark, and he remembered me from this thing Steve and I did. So then he started using me as a voiceover artist. The one thing for me was, you know, and this is something as a new person, I think it's good to know, what you'll accept as a fee. Because I don't remember us talking about that in the such a voice classes, the
Yeah.
marketing. I don't know, you got to look at your chart, Doug, but the marketing or the fee schedule. And so I probably was a little bit less than I probably could have, gotten for some of these things.
Yeah.
And then there's the other things that I learned as we went along was like, if you have to, because you'll do a take and then they'll say, oh, I want to change the word there, and then you're doing it again. Well, are you getting paid for that or not, kind of a thing. And so I kind of learned that as and talking to other people who were doing voiceovers, what is the, what usually the voiceover industry recommends doing in those kind of situations, because it's not something you didn't do right, and so because sometimes you'd read the script and you think, oh man, I don't know if this, I can remember one of my first jobs I did, it was GJ Gardner. Oh my God, just to say GJ Gardner all these times was not very easy. And so you'd read the script and you think, oh God, I think they could have said things certain ways, but this is the script they came up with. So anyway, I think I kind of got off track a little bit, but
No, it's good. It's all good. It's all good info.
so did I cover pretty much? I think it was important to get cards. I think it was important to have a website. I think it's good to have somebody kind of lead you through, you know, either like here, you have a group of people who've been doing it for like what we've been doing it for, what did we say, 13 years or more. Probably, um, we'd be able to guide people. Now with the demos, I couldn't do it, but Mark, you could definitely do demos for people. So, but we could give them advice about, yeah, stay away from Pro Tools, or these are the mics we use, and things like that. So, and the setup, I always struggled with the techie part of it. It just always seemed like something didn't work right, and it would just kind of get me really frustrated. And that's where most of my time went. I think the actual recording, doesn't take that long, and the editing of it doesn't take that long. It's just like the whole setup stuff, and getting it so it sounds right, when you're recording it. That whole techie part, I think, is the for me anyway, I think it was the most difficult part. So,
And again, we'll get more into the technical part of the voiceover and setting up your studio. We'll talk more on that later, but that and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of learning.
right.
There's a learning curve there. But yeah, and we'll talk later also about coaching. What we did, other
Oh,
than
with coaching, yeah.
you guys got started with that Such a Voice. And when I tell my story with Such a Voice is a little bit different, but I want to hear
Different.
both yours and
Well,
Doug's. So
and then sometime, I mean, I'd like to, I can talk about, like being from Jersey and my dialect. I have to be, in the beginning, I didn't even
we'll talk.
realize
Yeah, yes, our
how
accents or yeah,
how I would run words together, or I wouldn't enunciate certain things. And even when I played it back, it sounded perfectly fine to me. And then somebody would say, "Well, we need a stronger g sound on the G," or something like that. I'm thinking, "Oh, okay." So that's some other things that you have to learn.
yeah, yep. Very good. There are a couple of times where you'll say a phrase or something, and your Jersey does come out. It's
I'm
really
out. I know.
it's fun. It's fun to hear. I'll
Yeah.
hear something and I'll go, "Oh, you are from
From
the
Jersey, yeah.
Jersey."
Jersey, if you're a Jersey girl, you're always a Jersey girl, no matter where you are. Even though I lived in Colorado for more years than I lived in Jersey. And then the other thing is being a Catholic. I was raised a Catholic, and I think once you're Catholic, you're always a Catholic. It doesn't matter.
That's true. That's true. They kicked me out. So you know what? Well, well, that's a whole nother topic.
They wouldn't even let me in. So
There you
what can I
go.
tell you?
All right, Dougie, let's hear from you. Let's and I know your beginning stories are quite similar to Cindy, but go ahead, elaborate.
Yeah. Okay. Well, mine started out a little long. Before the Such a Voice, when Cindy and I had met. I think it was like 1987, 1988. I drove tour buses a long time ago, just taking groups of people around either the state or the country or the city or whatever. And every once in a while, you had to get on the PA on the microphone, and you'd have to talk, and people say, "Oh, you've got a really good voice. You should do some radio or something." Now, this is way back before the internet and all those things were going on, and I didn't take it too serious. But my wife says, you do have a good voice, and you should look into that. So I came across the Columbia School of Broadcasting, which is back in the late 80s. And they had a studio up on Wadsworth and like 68th Avenue, a full-time classroom kind of thing. And I would go in once a week, and we used cassette tapes, and they had little studio booths. They really had it set up nice. They had studio booths we go into. You'd get some coaching, you'd do some recordings on the cassettes, and you had some homework and different things to do. And someday I'll dig out my book. It's like this 3-ring plastic binder, and it's got all these little pouches for cassettes where my recordings are at. And if I could ever find a cassette player anymore, I'd play one just to listen to myself. But so really, that's kind of what got me started. So I went through the program, and I don't remember the cost on it. didn't have a lot of money at the time, so made these little payments to him to try try to keep going, and got through the program, and graduated and got the final cassettes. And they kind of did the same thing that Such a Voice did, was give you a demo tape. So I made some copies of the demo the best I could, and they kind of helped me with that. They, I think they went out of business not too long after that. So I didn't really want to be. I think the big thing then was being a disc jockey, getting on the radio, talking and giving the highlights of the day and the traffic and the news and the weather and all those things. And I thought, for sure, if I'm on a live radio, I'm going to screw up and I'm going to say something bad, and that's going to get me fired. So I thought, no, I don't want to do that. So I did send out a couple of tapes just to the stations here in town, and they never went anywhere. Never heard anything back. And of course, then you had to write out your resume and this is all old school kind of stuff. So didn't go anywhere with it. Went about my career in the transportation business, and didn't think really too much more about it. And then in 2010, the opening at Arapahoe Community College, kind of the introduction to voiceover was there. And that's where I met Cindy. And actually, I guess I met you at the classroom. I don't remember meeting you at the introduction meeting, but they talked about Such a Voice. The lady was there, and here's what we're going to do, and we're going to start next week, and da 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 da. So went home and mulled it over, and when I talked to her, she says, "Oh yeah," she said, "we'll get you a microphone. We'll get you the little sound stand where it wraps around with a foam around it, so you can make your recordings." We had the Pro Tools software. What else did we get? I think there was, the MicBox, and the Pro Tools. So I thought, well, that's a pretty good way to go. And I think it was, because if I'd had to go out and buy those things myself or look for them, I probably wouldn't have had any idea on where to go or what to do. So it worked out good for me. And we had the classes, and I thought they were pretty good. Had people there talking, and then of course they get you the studio time down on East Colfax, and I thought that was good too. I thought those were good sessions. They had good people there. I don't remember their names or anything, but the people that were coaching us, okay, why don't you say this one again? Only do it this way, and try this and try that. And it was really nice. So I ended up with demo tapes there, and
excuse me for butting in. I forgot to ask Cindy while she was talking. What did this class cost you?
I know. I was going to ask Doug. I think was it like 2,000 or 3,000?
That's kind of what I'm thinking too. I was just trying to think of what that did cost, but I'm thinking, it was in the range of around 3,000.
Yeah,
maybe on a little upward of that.
And that was for all of the classes, all of the equipment, and the recording of the demos.
Yes.
So around 3. Okay.
So it did include. So if someone starting out could find a program like that, I mean, just really new like myself. I think that's probably a good way to do it. If you can get some of the equipment and the coaching and demo tapes, I think that is a real good way to get started. And especially if you're by yourself, you don't have a big community of people that are in this business. Fortunately, I met Cindy and Steve, and we got the meetup group going. It was Cindy's brainchild. So, and that's when we met you too, Mark, right at that first meeting, I believe.
Yep.
So, a support group. I think that's important. Having people to support you, and maybe not family, but people that are kind of in the business or want to be in the business or have dabbled in the business, something like that, is a good background. And I kind of. After I got my demo tapes, I had a website. We got a website Mark helped me with, and made some cards. But then it kind of fell on deaf ears from my end. It really didn't push it like I should have. You're doing your other job and you think, okay, I'm working 40, 60 hours a week doing this, and I'm not making money doing this. So I'm going to kind of set that off to the side a little bit, and those kinds of things. So I didn't really uh, push it very hard with that. And I agree with Cindy. The Pro Tools thing was good. I think it was a good software for somebody that really knows their way around the technical end. I think it's probably a good thing for them. But now that we found Audacity, and I think that was you, Mark, or Cindy, who found that turned us
Mark.
on.
Yeah,
Mark,
Mark,
yeah,
I think.
yeah. So using that, I think the quality is good. And from what I'm doing, I'm not doing things for Warner Brothers or Disney or anyone. I'm just trying to do some basic reads and get the demos out, which I think this is more than sufficient. So spending a lot of money on Pro Tools, maybe eventually, if you get really good and really technical savvy, I would say it's probably good. If you're just starting out, myself, and technically challenged like myself, Audacity really fills the bill, I believe. I've been happy with that. So, overall, the way I got started was, a little bit different, but and I'll just let it drag for years and years. So if you think from 1988 until 2010, that's a long time to not really do anything. And then, after the 2010 thing, again, I've just kind of dragged my feet and working the other job, trying to, pay the bills or whatever it is, put bread on the table, those kinds of things. But it is something that you have to work at and be consistent. Picking a day of the week or 2 days of the week or 2 nights of the week, you go down to the studio or down to your microphone and record and just keep doing it. And I think maybe the lady that taught us in such a voice too. I know she probably I think she had a pretty good business herself of her voiceover stuff, and it sounded almost, I don't want to say too good to be true, but it sounded very easy. She said, "Oh yeah, I travel, and when I go to a hotel and I get a call for one, I just pull the bedspread up over my head and I record and off I go, and then I've made $1 million again." So, and she didn't say that.
Yeah, no, but there was one time, I'm interrupting, sorry, but there was one time I remember this. We were at a hotel. She got some kind of job and she did that. She had a mic. I'm trying to think if she had the mic if it was a Yeti or something, but she had the mic right there on the table. She pulled the thing over and she did the recording. That was it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it sounded pretty
Easy.
easy to do. Hot dog, I can do this.
Yeah.
But it's and really that part probably isn't so bad. It's all the other parts that go with it that you have to keep in mind. The business cards and contacting people and doing the demos and doing the technical stuff and doing all these other parts that go along with it. The editing, all the other things. The recording, like you said, Cindy, is just it's easy peasy. Get on the phone, on the microphone, say, "Okay, here I am, Doug Mass. I'm going to do this." But then, okay, wait a minute. There's some gasp in there. There's some breaths in there. I got to edit this. I got to put some background music in or sound effects or whatever it is. And that's the part that really probably you need to emphasize more is doing those kinds of things. This other background work that goes with it. So, but that's really kind of my story. Again, I still dragging my feet on it quite a bit, even though I am retired now.
Pick them up. Come on, let's pick them up.
I know.
Hey, Doug, show us the chart. Show us what's on that chart.
Yeah, in back of you there. What is all of
You're
that?
such a voice chart.
Right. Yeah. Let me see if I can get this to hold still. And yeah, so can you see that, or is that?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's the chart they made for us at Such a Voice. And it told us what areas we should work on. My niche was great for narration projects like biographies, history, masculine items, commercials for financial high-end products, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So, and then, they broke down your voice too. Doug had a gentle, a great tone, friendly, trustworthy voice, soothing, educated, corporate, comforting. So but she also said to work on the expressiveness, smooth out delivery, and have fun. So, and the expressiveness, I think, is certainly something that has not been my strong suit. So, and I think Mark, you've listened to a couple of my demos, and it was kind of the same thing. I kind of fell on some things like that. So, those are things I had to work on.
You know what's really weird? I have to interrupt because this is just I've just been thinking. I don't remember where I recorded in Colorado. I can't remember
What do
where
you
I
mean?
like I don't remember before because I did voiceovers before I moved down to Florida. Remember?
Recording in your house or
Yeah, I don't remember where I did it.
Oh, I was over there one time, and you and me and Steve, we went upstairs to one of the bedrooms, did we?
Oh, so it was up there?
Didn't you
Okay.
have, yeah, we
I
had one of
just
your
was having a
bedrooms up
hard time
there
figuring out like where
converted.
did I actually do that? Okay.
wow, you are showing your age now,
I
Cindy.
know. Tell
This
me
is
about it.
this
All right, let's do the fade out right now.
Okay.
exactly. Okay, this one's over with now. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Uh,
Well, good. No, that's good stuff. And again, as we go on to our next episodes, down the line, we'll be talking about some of the highlights that you guys talked about as you were going through your journey, as far as your equipment and your coaching and that type of stuff.
Do we know if Such a Voice is even in business anymore?
Oh yeah, it's still in business.
Are they? Okay. And the
Yeah.
same guy owns it in Massachusetts?
In
Because I
the
think
what?
he's out of Mass, isn't he?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe the
Yeah.
headquarters or the corporate
Yeah.
office or
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it is out of Massachusetts. And as far as I know, the last time I looked, they are still in business.
And
Um,
remember that one woman that was in our group? She kind of went and worked for them for a while, but I don't think she still does. I can't think of her name.
right.
how many, you know what? I didn't ask. How many people were in that class with you guys? Do you remember
Hmm.
roughly?
I was just trying to think. I remember three other people, I believe.
There
I
were a
remember,
lot on the introductory thing, but then I think there weren't as many
right.
who actually signed up for the.
Which is usual. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
Yeah. I kind of remember two other
Mhm.
guys. Do you, Cindy?
I
Me,
can't.
you, and I remember two other people, but I can't remember if there was more than that. I don't.
I don't think there were very many. If there were five,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. There
okay.
was. I seemed like there was quite a few at the introductory thing at ACC,
Right.
but then of course it dwindles down pretty fast, and they.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. That's right. All
Mhm.
right. Well,
Mark.
my story is just a little bit different when it comes to Such a Voice. But I'll get into that here shortly. My journey with voiceover started again, like with Doug, back in the heck, it was back in the 70s and 80s with me. I had people at any given time tell me, geez, you got a really nice voice. It sounds great. You should really be on the radio, just like what Doug heard. And I looked into that. I looked into, going to a broadcast school. And where I lived at the time, I would have had to travel down to Denver because I lived up in the boondocks of South Dakota. So, if I had to do that, I had to go to someplace that was more metropolitan. So, that was just out of the picture for me. And I just kind of put off, if anybody told me that, like you, Doug, I said, oh, yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's, the voice that came out with me. So I just kind of blew it off for years and years. And by the time I moved down here to Arizona, back in the early 80s, more and more people, I'm in a bigger city now, and more people told me that, gee, your voice is good and all of that. And I thought, oh, you know what? I'm down here. I can look into that broadcast school. And at the time, I was a lowly construction worker back in the early 80s, and I was a husband with one child at the time. And you know what? I did not have the money that they wanted. So
Hmm.
couldn't get into that. And like Doug, just kind of blew things off for many, many years until the early 2000s. It was about 2004 or 2005. I'd actually advanced my construction to a point where I had my own construction company, and I did remodels and what's called TIs, or tenant improvements, and things like that, and making some good money, doing good. And again, I got the proverbial person that said, "Wow, your voice, you should do something with that." And it was all because I read it was kind of like a poem, and it was during a friend of mine's daughter's wedding. And I can't even remember what the poem was. It was something about being a father and giving away the daughter, and, kind of melancholy, happy, cheery at the end, whatever. And I read that during the wedding as the bride was walking up the aisle at the beginning, when they do the, what do they call that
Song.
song? The bridal song or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah. So that was playing real low. And then I narrated this poem. And of course, after that, they were like, whoa, geez, where'd you come from? And where's that voice from? And da 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 down the line. So I thought, well, okay, I got a good business going. I got this and that going, and I might have my dates off. I can't remember exactly when I read this poem, whether I was with my first wife or my second wife. I can't remember. That's another story down the line. Okay. Any rate, we I kind of started looking into voiceover, and again, I started old school. I went to the library at first and, got some books on broadcasting and voiceover. And, the interweb was, up and running better than it was in the 80s and 90s. And started looking into the voiceover work, and got online and saw, geez, there's all these different, coaches and training classes and all of that. And I was, oh, well, which one should I choose? What should I look at here? What should I really do? And so I contacted Such a Voice. Well, somebody wants me on the phone. Sorry, that's very unprofessional to have on a podcast. Any rate, I'll edit that out, maybe. Any rate, so I saw Such a Voice and thought, oh, okay, you know what? I'll look into this program, and called him. And we had a couple of sessions on the phone, not really coaching sessions, more or less question answer sessions, this and that. And this was in 2000, I think it was 2005. And they said, you know what? Well, we could, give you a little coaching, and boy, yeah, you got the right voice, and we could produce a demo for you. And, you're going to have to come to San Diego to do the demo. We got a recording studio in San Diego. And I thought, well, okay. And I talked to my wife about it, and we thought, well, we'll make a little vacation out of it. And we did. Went there, got a hotel room, flight over, hotel room, all that. The next day, I went to this recording studio right outside of San Diego and met with this young gal from Such a Voice. And like you guys, I cannot remember the gal's name. My life depended on it. I have no idea what her name was now, but she was very pleasant, very nice. And we chatted for maybe a half an hour about, the type of demos I'd like to create and what they recommend. And she leafed through her little, portfolio briefcase thing that she had. And she says, you know what, I'm going to pull out a few scripts, and we just want to read a few little nips of each one of these scripts, for your demo. And she did the same thing, told me, well, this read should be a little happy and light, and this read should be a little, serious. And this, and we went through the whole thing. And that was probably maybe from the time I got to the studio till the time I actually went into the recording booth, maybe 2 hours had passed. And got my scripts, went into the booth, and recorded the scripts that she decided would be the best for my voice. And we did a commercial demo and a narration demo. And she says, okay, that's great. You sound great. Da, 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 da. We'll do all of the editing, and we'll clean it up, and we'll put music behind it, and we'll get it to you. You know, in no time, you'll have a demo, and you'll be able to start getting out there in the voiceover world. And again, nothing about how to market, which is another topic that we'll get into, but no talk about marketing or promoting or anything about advancing the voiceover business other than here's your demo. And boy, once you get it, you'll, get a website going and oh yeah, you'll be making money. So I got that demo about a month later. It took about a month for them to get me the demo after I recorded it. This is the demo back in 2005. And it sucked. It was terrible. You know what? Huh?
What?
Yeah. I mean, it was, there at the recording. I thought, after I got done with the recording and she said, "Oh, you did great." And this and that. Oh boy, I felt good. Oh, I'm excited. I can't wait to hear it. And when I heard it, sat down with the wife and plugged it into the computer and we listened to it. And my wife and I both looked at each other and said, "Oh my God, did we waste a lot of money?"
Oh, geez.
And at the time, literally, I spent on the phone with Such a Voice, I may have spent maybe, like I said, 2 or 3 sessions on the phone where we talked about things, not really coaching, but they were like little half-hour chats before I shuttled on off to San Diego, which, the cost of the plane fare and the hotel and the meals and the rent-a-car and the studio demo time, which was another $1,700. After everything was said, I spent probably, I don't know, maybe close to $3,000 after plane flights and, basically what you guys spent to do what you did. But I did not get any microphone or, audio interface or any programs or, any Pro Tools. I didn't get any of that. I got this crappy ass demo, and it was the music mix on the background is so. My voice sounded the same in every single spot.
Oh my God.
Did I sound happy in this spot? Did I sound serious in this spot? I sounded the same. I mean, and it was just like, oh Christ, I can't take this thing out anywhere.
Wow.
So after that, and what was surprising is my wife at the time was still supportive. It was like, even after hearing this and spending this money, she was like, "Boy, you know what? I think we need to go a different route on this." And so I started doing a little more research on the interweb. My wife hates it when I say the interweb instead of the proper term. Any rate, I did a little more research and found out that you know what, I need to get a little better acting chops, a little better, like Doug says, he's got that little list that Such a Voice gave you. Now, again, I went in 2005 and you guys went in 2010. And yeah, maybe they cleaned up their act a little bit in those 5 years. Uh, Myself, I would never have recommended that group to anybody after my experience.
Yeah.
You guys went 5 years later, and your experience, you're not unhappy with it, so that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
What people are doing now in Such a Voice, I don't know. I don't know what their program is now. I don't know how they operate, so I can't say whether or not they're worth it or not right now. I could say back in 2005 that they were not worth it, but now I don't know.
Did
But
you
anyway,
address it with them?
what was that?
Did you address that with them? Did you contact them?
No, I never did. No, I basically after that I was, I was kind of humiliated at the time.
Yeah.
I was kind of embarrassed. Yeah, I literally threw that demo in the drawer and said, okay, these last couple of months just didn't exist. I'm going to start over and see what happens, which I did. And I decided that what, I need to. I think I need to get coaching, which again we'll talk about in another episode more in length. But briefly, I went and found a coach and I was in Denver by this time because I was living in Phoenix when I went to San Diego to do this demo. And after that demo, the wife and I decided to move out of Arizona, and we decided to move up to Colorado. And I did a little research and did some more online connections with some other kind of online coaches before we left Arizona, before we got to Colorado. And again, I'll elaborate on that later. But once I got into Colorado, I found a coach and I coached with him. He coached me for 8 months. Literally, I went to him once a week for 8 months before I ever recorded my demo, the demo that I was much happier with. So, at any rate,
Mark, did you do your own demo then?
no, no. At that time, I went like you went to a recording studio after the fact, and I did too. After I had the coaching and I was ready to do this demo, I went to in fact, I went to Coop Studios up there in Boulder.
Oh, in both. Okay,
Yeah,
they're nice.
yeah,
Actually, I think I know the people who own that.
yeah. No, they're a great group up there, and we'll talk more about them on an upcoming episode. So, at any rate, I did my demo with them and very happy with it. And at that time, created this CD. Oh, look at that. Much more professional looking, huh?
Ooh.
Oh,
Ooh, oh,
time. Ooh, yeah, time for a voice and everything. And this is
nice.
back when CDs were the thing. We didn't just email our demos to people. We sent them a CD.
Yeah, and that's really interesting because I didn't get a CD of
Oh,
my
you
demo.
didn't?
My
Oh, you
demo, nope. My
Oh,
demo was all online. Did you get a CD, Doug?
no, I didn't.
No.
And I
well,
don't know where
and
I want to.
yeah, and again, this is 2010,
So
2011.
5 years later.
Yeah, this
Mhm.
was 5 years later. This is,
Yeah.
I mean, by the time I did this demo, what was it? I was, again, when I started with Such a Voice, it was 2004, 2005. This is probably 2006
Okay.
when I got this demo done, and they were still doing the creating it on the CDs, and yeah, was the availability there to send your demo via email or via a link or whatever on the internet?
Mhm.
Yeah, but
That's how ours was sent through
yeah,
that.
yeah, the industry wasn't quite there yet.
Yeah,
So
I was looking at the Such a Voice website. It's pretty huge. They have a lot of it's different now. I don't know
yeah,
if they do these classes like we took. It looks like you have to sign up for all these individual things.
yeah,
Um,
they've really advanced and
change.
improved. All of the stuff, all of this online.
And the person we know who works for them is that Jolene Dirks.
Oh, Jolene,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
Yeah,
she was in
she's
our
on.
she was in our group.
Right. He was in
Yeah,
our
and
group. Yeah.
if you look on their website, she is I remember her going and working for them. Um, but I didn't realize she was still with them. I thought she had left them, but she's like the marketing, but I guess she gives classes.
Wow.
So it seems like,
I believe you're right. I think she does the classes on marketing because I know she did a lot of that info in our group. She talked
yeah.
about that. I think she used to be a teacher, wasn't she?
Yes, I think you're right about that.
Yeah, sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, she
Mhm.
yeah.
does. Yeah, yeah, she is their, um, let me see here. She is their marketing and career advisory coach.
There you go.
Mm.
See,
Yeah.
Okay.
So she
Wow.
does, she's a voice actor and on-camera talent and a voice-over marketing and career advising coach. Yeah, she was a teacher
isn't
and
that
workshop.
amazing? Yeah, I mean, again, we're talking what? This is almost 17 years later.
Yeah.
I'm glad they're improving.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd be interested to talk to some Such a Voice people now to see what
Yeah.
their thoughts are of it now.
Yeah.
Um,
It
again,
sounds like they've improved the program as the years have gone by from, and I don't know when they started. Was it 2005? I don't know where they were just learning themselves, maybe.
yeah,
I believe
yeah,
it was around 2003 or 2000. It
Okay.
was in the early 2000s. All of this stuff, internet wise, when it comes to coaching and the audition sites, again, which don't get into now because we'll talk about that later. All of that was in the early 2000s. I mean, they're basically the stuff is only 20 years old at the most,
Right.
so it's not that old.
Right.
Yeah, she does. I mean, they have a lot, they have these all these individual coaches for like they have a demo coach, and then they have they have a lot of voiceover coaches. They have tons of coaches.
There's another fellow.
Audiobook coach, they have home studio coaches. So I guess if you want to get, guidance in certain one of these things, you can, I guess, hire these people to help you with that.
Yeah,
Right.
I believe there's another fella he's in Colorado. I think he's up in the Longmont area or whatever. He's also an instructor for Such a Voice, and I met him at another kind of meetup get together. Nice guy. He was in the auto industry. He had an auto dealership, or he was a manager for an auto dealership, and he went into voiceover. He's got again, I can't remember his name either, but what's your name? Wait a minute. Okay, we'll we'll carry on. But at any rate, so that was kind of my journey, getting the demos going and getting my demo through Coop Studio, and then getting my website set up. I mean, I didn't set up my website until after I got this demo done from Coop Studios, and that was in what 2006 or seven, whatever it was.
Mm.
And since then, I've got my demo. I've signed up for different coaching classes. I mean, I've had more coaches than you can shake a stick at, which again, that's a whole other topic. And I've been somewhat active in the voiceover industry. Again, like Doug, I've kept a full-time job during the whole thing. Again, because I've been comfortable living the style I live, and the construction industry has made that good for me. So I didn't want to get rid of that until the voiceover industry started bringing money in. And again, that's a whole other thing that we need to talk about: the time you spend with voiceover versus your day job, or what some people call your survival job. That's a whole other area we need to look at. But
Right.
again, I basically had stayed with my survival job doing the voiceover part-time, and did a few gigs here and there, did some gigs with local people in Denver, did some stuff with actually the German company, a German production company. There was a gaming guy, Lassie Games. I don't even know if they still exist. Remember the What Makes You Tick game? Do you remember that, you guys? I don't know if you guys were involved in that.
Uh-huh.
It was during our meetup group, and I can't remember if uh, remember Sacco, Ed
Oh,
Sacco,
uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
there was another person. They got me hooked up with this company because they were looking for voices for this game that they were doing, and I got involved with that, and did a very bad French accent character, and didn't make a lot of money on it. I think I got maybe, I don't know, 100 or 150 bucks for, I did like, I don't know, 100 lines. I think it was a dollar per line that I got paid. So however many lines I did, I got a dollar per line.
Nice.
And, over the years, I've done this and that, and I've been auditioning on different sites, and I've, hooked up with a few agents. And again, the agent thing, that's a whole nice topic we can talk about down the line. That's a good thing. That's a good topic.
Yeah.
And get your feedback on that and your comments on that, and maybe get some feedback and some comments from our listeners and our viewers, what their experiences are, what their thoughts are on that. They may think, what we've been talking about is a bunch of hokey bull pokey. I tried to rhyme there, and I didn't do a very good job. So if speaking of which, if anybody that's watching or listening has a comment, Yeah, throw us a comment. And if you're on YouTube, throw us that, subscription thing, ring the bell, make a comment, smash the like button. They say
Yeah,
all of that stuff on the website, or on the YouTube thing, smash that like button. And
right.
if
Like us, please, like us.
yeah, like us, subscribe. If you don't like us anyways. Give us a
Like us.
thumbs up. Yeah, yeah. If you want to, you can give us a thumbs down too. That way we'd know if we are doing this right or wrong. I don't know if you can do this right or wrong. Anyways, so at any rate, that. Oh, as far as you guys were talking about the Pro Tools and how you didn't like it so much because it's rather, I don't want to say it's complicated. It's got a pretty big learning curve. And I started with Pro Tools after I went through all of my coaching, you know, after I got this demo done. I saw up in Coop Studios, but I started with this original Pro Tools
Ah,
LE7.
yeah.
This is a long time. This is a long time ago. They don't even have that anymore. But that's what I started with, and how I learned to when I was doing my auditions, and again, we'll talk later about doing your own demos, which all of the coaches out there, all of the professionals out there will say, no, don't do your own demo. Bullshit. You can,
Well,
you
I
can,
think you have to have some experience like you, Mark. I haven't, I mean, I probably couldn't do my own demo. I probably could if I learned, but it's you, though, on the other hand, can definitely do demos for people. I mean, you've done it for me and you've done it for like, even the Front Range people. So, and you did it for Doug. So, but I think if somebody's pretty techie, I mean,
you know what? What's amazing, and we'll talk about this on another episode, which you guys will just love to hear about, and it may inspire you.
yeah.
You can do it with Audacity. You can do it with the information and the programs that you have. It takes a little time to learn. Yes, you don't want to go right out there and do something that you don't know what you're doing. No, you don't want to send out, total crap. But in time, and with the industry right now, and with the venues out there that you can find work at, doing a DIY demo is more and more popular. It's coming to fruition for a lot of people.
Hmm.
So again, you don't need the fancy Pro Tools program. I mean, yes, I still have Pro Tools. That's what I work with. I also have Audacity, mainly because if my computer has a glitch and I need to get an audition out right away, boom, I'll hit Audacity and I'll do the audition. But in general, I loved Pro Tools. I loved learning about it. And again, Cindy, yes, I mean, some of us are techier type people. I am a kind of a nerd that way.
Yeah.
I like,
You're like Steve. Steve was like that, and he would say, "Stop touching buttons," because I would just start like,
yes.
"Stop, stop."
So, but it's good stuff, and so that's how it goes, and we'll talk more about that down the line. But you know, as far as my history, there we go. That's how I got started. And all of you out there in the watching and listening world, you might have some different ideas or some different experiences how you got started. So yeah, we want to hear that. We want to know.
Right.
So at any rate, that's it for today's episode,
Okay.
or
Good.
this week's episode of VO Babble.